Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your Mars conjunct with someone else's Mars in Synastry, comparing two charts. So Mars in our astrology chart shows our strength, our instincts, our aggression, and a lot about the physical expression of our sexuality. So, how we actually go after what we want. And Mars in men shows a lot more about his feeling of his mojo, like the qualities that he needs to be, that he feels that he needs to be in order to be attractive to the women that he desires and to pursue them. He comes on with those qualities. Now, for women, it's a little bit different at times. It shows more about her image of masculinity, you know, the type of man that's really like the hero to her, the type of man that really turns her on in a sexual way. So it's definitely about sex. Some people disagree there. Well, some people disagreed with me on TikTok. They said, Mars isn't about sex, Venus is about sex. And yes, Venus is about sex too, 100%. And, you know, it definitely plays a role. But Mars is the more about sex, okay? Because Mars is the actual physical expression of sexuality. It's not emotional, it's the physical expression. So when we have our Mars conjunct with someone else's Mars, this is an energy of let's fucking go. And yeah, I don't swear so much on my videos anymore. I used to get a lot of negative comments about my swearing, and I do think that I don't like some of my older videos, but for this video it has to be called Let's Fucking Go, because that is the energy of Mars conjunct Mars. It's just a pure primal let's go energy, and it needs to be stated in that way. Or at least that's how I personally felt. So yeah, with this placement, you really have more energy together. You really feel like a more confident, more assertive version of yourself, maybe even bordering on a more aggressive version of yourself, depending on which sign your Mars is in and the placement and all that. But you really come on strong when you're with this person. It's like the interaction causes you to combust into your own Mars and really brings that quality out. And so the sign of Mars is really a strong factor in this relationship. Now, you can accomplish a lot together. This is great for a partnership where you're working on something together. You have some type of, you know, project. I'll never forget one of my ex-boyfriends, my first love, or my first like true love, soulmate, my first like long-term relationship. We had Mars conjunct Mars, and he played the guitar, and he taught me the guitar, and when we played together, I swear we made magic. He taught me so well, and I became so much better at the guitar. And the guitar is kind of a Martian instrument. You know, you're pushing the strings, and it's kind of aggressive. It's kind of sexual in a way, at least I personally feel. So we really worked together well, and we both became better at the instrument by playing together, and we had a great chemistry musically. And of course, we're going to talk about the sexuality part as well, but I wanted to talk about some of these other themes first, but obviously the sex part we got to talk about with this aspect. So the working partnership is great. The chemistry is great. The understanding of each other's impulses is great. Like, Mars is a lot about our primal instinct. It's not about our thoughts. It's not Mercury. Maybe we think totally different and we have conflicting Mercury signs. But when we have Mars conjunct Mars in Synastry, there's something about how our basic instinctual responses are the same. They're not similar. It doesn't mean compatible. It means they're exactly the same. So like if a bear was gonna come in and attack you guys, and you were both there, you would both respond in the same way. And although, you know, men sometimes can express their Mars more, you know, you both would feel that the way that the other person responded to that bear attacking was the right way to respond. So you can feel like you can be yourself with this person, because it's not like when we have a Mars square Mars or difficult aspect to our Mars, where like the way that they come on, the way that people come on when we have that difficulty there is like repulsive to us, or it's like, you know, ooh, like the guy's hitting on you and you're not in the mood, or, you know, the way that he's coming on to you is like repulsive. Like when we have Mars conjunct Mars, it's not like that, because the instincts are the same. So you can see that like the way that you fight and the way that you like it's the same. So there can be this very primal sexual attraction. So we'll talk about that now, because there's this instinctual knowing that the other person can give you physically what you need to get that orgasm that you need. Okay. And although, you know, Venuses we have to look at as well to know more about what emotionally and like what is our image of what sexuality should be like, that's coming from a more loving or emotional place. With Mars conjunct Mars, it's more like we know that physically this person can be what we need, and it's not necessarily emotional in that sense. It's more of like, you know, like as a woman, you know that that man could like conquer you, and like the way that he moves and the way that he acts and the way that his instincts are and the way that his moves are identical to what you feel a man should be in sex. Like, so there is a deep knowing that this will be good. And so on the other side, on the man's part, the woman with her Mars conjunct with his Mars, there is a deep knowing that he could please her as well. Like that, the way that he expresses his sex drive and his impulses to fight as well, not just his sexual impulses, but there's this deep knowing that like he won't be rejected by this woman. Like he will be accepted in the way that he expresses his Mars. Because one of the most annoying things, you know, as a man would be when the way that you express your masculinity and that aggressive or assertive force is rejected, or even worse, like put down by a woman. Like that makes you feel so so put down. So when we have the Mars conjunct Mars aspect in Synastry, there's a knowing on the part of the man, and obviously we can have this in same-sex relationships as well. So like just imagine it, you guys. However the relationship is working out, you can imagine it. But I'm just speaking from experience. So the man feels like the way that he expresses himself sexually and his masculinity is accepted by the woman. So it's very good to have, but the thing is, though, it's not an aspect of compatibility. It's an aspect of sameness in the way that we express our Mars. So it's more fiery than compatible. It's more like, let's go, let's do it, let's get it done, let's get it on. Like it's aggressive. And so the negative side of this aspect is that the woman or the feminine part of this relationship is also very dominant and assertive. So it can be a bit like, who's the boss? Because we are both so strong and the way that we fight is the same, and we both make each other feel like this incredibly, strong and dominant version of ourselves, that it can be a little bit like in a male-female relationship. Okay, well, who's the boss? Because we're both the boss and we are both equally strong. And so we can fight and we can get in each other's faces, but usually there's not going to be long-term resentment or built up there, because we're actually so similar that even though we're very, you know, equal in our strength and we can really fight and we can, you know, enjoy a good fight, usually we're not going to fight like over years, right? It's going to be a quick, you know, fight because we are actually so similar with the person. So it's, you know, maybe it'll never come to an actual fight. It depends on other things that are going on in the chart, whether this is going to just come out as you're fighting each other. But if you do fight, no one will win. Okay? Or one person has to step down for the other person to win, because we won't want to do that with this. We're both activating each other's strong points. And so, yeah, it can be hard to see who's the leader in this relationship. And some people need a leader in the relationship. And, you know, sometimes, you know, some men, they need to be the leader, or sometimes some women need to be the leader. So with this relationship, with this Mars-Mars conjunction, there's no leader because we're both so strong. And I mean, we could have other things going on here that would show that one person is more the leader. Like maybe one person has some strong Pluto over the other person, and so they're obviously the leader. That would be better, okay? But at the level of Mars, with this aspect, there's no leader because we're both equally strong and we're both like exactly the same in the expression of our Mars. So that's the only negative, is that, you know, there's two leaders here. And that can work good in a romantic relationship where it's like we're both a team and we make decisions together and we're both going to probably agree with our decisions that we make. Like, it's not hard to come to an agreement on, you know, more instinctual things when we have Mars conjunct Mars, because we're the same on that instinctual level, on that base root chakra level. How we fight, how we express our Mars energy into the world, it's the same, okay? And we're going to want the same kind of sex usually too. We're going to be, you know, similar in that regard. And as far as the physical expression of it, we can really feel like, you know, you've met your match. And the way that that person moves and the way that they act and the way that they instinctually respond to situations is just so hot and so the same as how you would react. So it can be easy with this aspect to look over at the person and think, wow, that is the way that all people should be. Okay, so you can be like their fan. Like I have two best friends that are women, best friends, like girlfriends, that have their Mars conjunct with my Mars, and we build each other up so much, and we like comment on each other's pics, like, oh my god, you're so hot. And like, even in a friendship, it can be a sexual thing where, I don't mean like with your friends, like I mean when you go out, let's say you go out together with your girlfriends and you all have Mars conjunct Mars, you're out and you're on the lookout for men that are potential suitors or sexual interest. So there's that element of the hunting with Mars. So like I've experienced that with my girlfriends when we've gone out, like, and the Mars gets going and it wants what it wants. So, and that's even with different Venuses too. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, it's very primal. It's good. It's a good one to have though. And you have to look at the Mars sign and see what's coming out here. It really gets out there, and it's a strong energy. You feel more confident with this person, more like yourself, and you're not like, when you're with someone and your Mars are conjunct, you stop like overthinking because you're so in your instincts and you're so like in your confidence and your assertiveness that like it's a great way to be outside the mind when you're with people with Mars conjunct Mars. Now, in certain situations, it's a lot of energy to come out. Like, you probably don't want to be locked in a room with a person that you have Mars conjunct Mars with if you don't want to have something incredibly heated start happening. So the people really stir each other a lot with this one. It's not a neutral contact. It's a passionate, exciting, powerful contact. And yeah, it's you're so similar that sometimes in a male-female relationship too, I've read this, I've experienced this, it can start to feel like a sibling relationship too, because you are so the same with Mars, right? So you'd want someone else to have, you'd want someone to have some of those dominating aspects so that someone can be the leader, depending on the type of relationship that you want. Because yeah, with the Mars-Mars conjunction, you're so similar, you're so the same that you can start to feel like siblings when you live together for a long period of time. But the fire is still there. Like then you're siblings that are working together on a project and you're getting it done, and you're so similar, you know, you can stay friends with these people for a long time because your impulses and your instincts are not off-putting to each other. You can be yourself, you can be natural, and you can be that more outgoing, aggressive version of yourself that would maybe be off-putting to others that don't share that same Mars as you. You won't have that here. You can be yourself. You can be your instinctual self. And so anyways, I wanted to talk about it because it's a fun one. And I think I'll talk about the square decks because that is totally different. But yeah, Mars aspects in Synastry are good for that feeling of naturalness and like you can be yourself. And this isn't like necessarily your highest self, right? We're not talking about other planets here. We're talking about your Mars self, which is a big part of your strength though, and your masculine energy. So you can be that version of yourself very well with these people that have Mars conjunct with your Mars. Okay. Wow, this ended up being a long video. Okay, well, my whole chart is ruled by my Mars, so when I have this, I really feel it. So anyways, love you guys. I do one-on-one sessions. I do a Synastry session where I can read your relationship chart, the comparison between two people, and I also do a one-on-one soul purpose session. My links are below. Love you guys. Thanks for watching.